The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. Wonderful liberty lovers and beautiful ecclesiastites all across the globe. It is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live from the Bunker Eye studio, somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And yes, I did check this morning, and it did not change. Here we are on a balmy 32-degree morning on February number 23. In the year of our Lord 2017. You know, it's supposed to get up to 60 today. Now, this is unusual. I'm going to admit it. It's unusual in February. However, it is not unusual for New England to experience 1 or 2 midwinter thaws. Now, sometimes the winter thaw will last, almost a week. We'll get above 50-degree weather. And it's kind of ironic that it usually happens in what is traditionally the month with the coldest temperatures. February here, we usually see the coldest temperatures here in February, here in northern New England. But it's also the month where we often get a midwinter thaw. Well, you get 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row above 40 or 50 degrees. And yesterday it hit almost 60. Today it's supposed to hit almost 60. But fear not, because by the time we swing back around into next week and start exiting in February and getting into March, we'll be back in, winter will slap us across the face once again. But I'm bringing this up because we have a bunch of people out there talking about how the environmentalist wackos, the global warming idiots, are using this as proof that man is causing spring to come earlier and earlier. Are you kidding me? We go through this every year. I think the only year we didn't go through it was in 2015 when we had record cold and record snowfall. It just wasn't enough time for Mother Nature to give us, a warming spell back then. That year, it was just ridiculous. We had I thought, and they were also saying then that, hey, man-made climate change is the cause of Boston and New England and the Northeast getting all that snow and being so cold, because if it gets cold, it's due to man-made climate change. If it gets too hot, it's due to man-made climate change. If we get too much rain, it's due to man-made climate change. If we get too little rain, it's because of man-made climate change. If the sun shines, it's because of man-made climate change. I mean, that's just that's basically how it goes. And if you're paying attention, by the way, the call-in number this morning, 603-835-3226. If you are paying attention to the pipeline debacle up there in the Dakotas, recently there was a story about all the garbage and trash up there, and that it is going to take them about 2 weeks total to clear everything up. Now, there is tons of garbage. Now, these are supposed to be environmentalists, and they left a mess. That you can see the pictures. They were showing the pictures. They were showing video. I saw the video on news clips. I saw it on the video on YouTube. It's all over the place. It is a utter and total and complete environmental disaster. Not because of the pipeline, but because of those so-called wonderful environmental protectionists. They left a mess. And you've got the sheriff in that county up there who's saying, well, the reason why it's taking so long to clean up the garbage is because they have to go through the garbage. They have to go through the garbage to make sure that the protesters didn't leave behind any dangerous things that could have, they want to know if they had any dangerous objects or weapons or what have you, from guns to bombs to what have you, and they left any of that stuff behind. They want to get it out of there and see if they can investigate it. And they said, well, we also need to, because we don't know, but often what this sheriff says happens with stuff like this. We hate to find it, but we never know, but we've got to search for bodies. Because, somebody may have died or passed away or even been, killed, by accident or on purpose, and they could have had their body wrapped up and tossed with the garbage here. Now, I'm thinking, if that's what he's thinking, this stuff must have happened somewhere before for law enforcement to even think that. Because I wouldn't think that logically. I wouldn't think that these people would be up there, allowing their own to die or killing their own. But then again, the left these people are capable of anything. And you have to realize that a lot of the non-terrorist mass attacks in this country have been leftist. They've been leftist. They haven't been people on the right, most of them. Now, sure, well, I know you can. They love to point out Timothy McVeigh as being a right-winger. Yeah. And look what you did to Timothy McVeigh. You caught him, tried him, and executed him. Did we hold any special sway for him? Oh, no, we brought the hammer down on Timothy McVeigh and his buddies. The weird thing is that usually when it's a leftist, we don't even get a chance to catch them catch them alive. They usually end up dead. Due to, I don't know, they call it death, suicide by cop type of thing. But they got to take out a bunch of people before them. You could say that those in the right, if they do something this stupid or this wild and do mass killings or try to do mass killings, they allow themselves to be caught. Where, the liberals, they're just totally and completely insane. You'll never catch me alive. Well, as far as I'm concerned, dead or alive. Back in the Old West, wanted, dead or alive. That's it. If you're going to do something that horrific, then it doesn't matter. Whether you go to, I know some people say, well, we want to bring them to trial. Why? Why waste the time? Why waste the money, the resources? You could better. No, I'm not saying just to run out and shoot and kill every criminal, but hey, if they want to go out in a blaze of glory, I say we give them their wish. Now, I don't think that's bloodthirsty or lusting anybody's blood, but when it comes to the point when you have the liberal left who are more concerned about the life of a criminal than they are the life of an unborn child, you know that there's something wrong. And I'm tired of having to defend my belief that life begins at conception. I'm tired of having to do that. Nobody in their right mind, no sentient being would ever think otherwise. Now look, I've even given the left the ability to compromise. And let me tell you exactly what that compromise is, because medical science tells us that when a person goes into a coma, or in any time, but usually when they go into a coma, they try to explain to the family, okay, there might be some hope because there's brain activity. There's alpha and beta waves going on there. If there are no alpha and beta waves, the medical science says you are brain dead. If you are brain dead, I don't think anybody has ever come back to life from being accurately diagnosed as being brain dead. If your brain is gone, you're gone. End of story. Period. You can be hooked up to machines and keep your body, fresh and alive, but your brain is gone. You're gone. Dead. Never coming back. So medical science says brain activity is the equivalent of life. Okay. Do you, Mr. Leftist and Mrs. Leftist, do you agree with that? Every single time I've asked that question of anybody on the left, they've always said yes. Okay, well, brain activity begins in the second trimester, at the end of the first, beginning of the second trimester in the womb. Do you think that's a human being now? No. So you're dead when there's no brain activity, but you're not alive when there's brain activity? Now, I'm not even going for the heartbeat. Heartbeat can happen even sooner than that, but I'm just saying just medical science says brain. It's because they don't want to compromise on it, because they are so evil that they do not care about innocent life. But they will try to protect criminal life with every fiber of their being. Death penalty is so horrific. What do you think you're giving an unborn child by ripping it from its mother's womb? They will never see the sunny day that I'm looking at today. They will never feel the crisp winter air that I feel today. They will never know of massive snowstorms or of midwinter thaws. They'll never feel or experience any of it. Because humans are the only ones that will murder their young before they even have a chance to take their first breath of air. And it is amazing if you look at the total numbers of people we have murdered since 1972. And yet liberals want to tell us that they want to protect. And they think it's inhuman behavior to execute a criminal. A criminal convicted of major, massive, evil, anti-human crimes. I mean, sure, they want to go after and supposedly get dictators, right? War crimes. Well, how? I never understood that either. What the hell's a war crime? Can somebody explain to me, Lucy, what is a war crime? Isn't the job of war to break things and kill people? And isn't it true that in war, if you break more things and kill more people of your enemy than they do of you, you will win? So does it really matter how you kill them? I never understood. I mean, I know when we were going after Saddam Hussein he was using, mustard gas against civilians, his own people. But we had this Geneva Convention after World War I that we weren't supposed to use. Fair war is not using mustard gas. Who cares? Who comes up with this stuff? Dead is dead. It doesn't matter how you get dead. When you have a war, your job is to break more things and kill more people of the enemy than they do of you. Plain and simple. Now, I don't particularly like it, but that's the way it is. That's the way it's always worked. That is the whole purpose of it. If you don't want to break things and kill people, then you sit down at a negotiating table and you work out your differences. But don't give me this Geneva Convention, and this is this anti, no torturing crap. Who says that you are more enlightened if you don't torture? Let me tell you something. Torture has worked for centuries. You do, yeah, sure, you get some bad intel off of torturing, but you get bad intel off of not torturing. You get some damn good intel off of torturing, and you can get some good intel off of not torturing. But whatever it takes in order for you to win and become victorious, that's what you do. And by the way, waterboarding is not torture. You know what's torture? Reaching into the womb and sucking the brains out of your unborn child. Ripping them limb from limb when you're trying to abort them. That's torture. Sticking your enemy under a dripping faucet, basically, which is what waterboarding is not torture. Putting wet cloths or paper towels over their face so they have a hard time breathing after a certain many layers is not torture. The left always seems to want to protect the evil in mankind. And they want to discard and destroy the innocent and the good. And it's not just in this country. You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
603-835-3226. That's the phone number that you can utilize. You know, I've heard of liberals saying, you know, I'm pro-life and I'm liberal, and I have to remind them that's not possible. You will not be accepted by the left if you are pro-life, but you are a leftist. You're a democratic leftist. And proof of that is, look at Milo Yiannopoulos. I mean, that poor guy has just been beat up, chewed up, spit out. I saw the press conference that he gave the other day, trying to explain his position, because everybody was taught. And look, I saw the interview or the video where he supposedly advocated for pedophilia. He didn't. He really didn't. But he had to clarify his comments. And I asked people after, I said, you know, if you watch this thing, do you think he cleared the record? Do you think he made, that he explained fully what he originally tried to get across, and do you believe that he doesn't believe in pedophilia? I said, do you think he cleared the record? And I get people that say no. It's like, well, what more does he need to do? He needs to apologize for ever saying. He apologized numerous times. Did you watch the conference, the speech? And then afterwards, he took questions. He took a bunch of questions. And again, you know, the reporters were asking about what he just said. Well, are you saying then that you do not support and you do not do this and this? Are you kidding me? This is not news. That's not journalism. But it was kind of a calculated movement on Milo's part. Don't doubt me on this. I told people he was going to be fine. I even said, you know what? You know, all these people are calling for Milo to resign from Breitbart. I said, they think that's going to hurt him. I mean, I told you right here on this program that the book deal that supposedly that he had been canceled. I said, that's not going to stop him. I said, he doesn't even need a book deal with a major publisher anymore nowadays. That's not going to stop him. I said, if he really has that book written or is just about written and he wants that book to come out, it's going to come out with or without a major publisher. Now, the question is which publisher wants to make a profit off of it? Because now this thing is probably going to be huge. It's probably going to. And I said, you know, even if he does leave Breitbart, he's all set. And, of course, he announced at the press conference that he was resigning from Breitbart immediately. And then after that, he stated, well, yeah, I'm in the midst of, we're doing this, and I'm doing, you know, planning for this and this and this, and the book is coming out in the fall. And I'm like, yeah, you can't stop people like this. You know, the left is just so idiotic. What they're going to end up doing they just gave Milo a much bigger platform. Now, unlike when usually when liberals, you know, do something supposedly self-destructive like this, they don't have anywhere else to go because they don't have anything else to fall back on, and they end up disappearing. But when you get people on the right where they do all this pressing of the flesh and squeezing them and trying to kick them out of this and kick them out of that, they end up bigger. Those persons that they're after end up bigger, badder, and better and richer than they were before. And it's just the way it seems to work. So Milo he wasn't advocating pedophilia. He was talking about his own childhood, teenagehood. And he did mention and talk about, as I mentioned to you, about the different ages of consent, not only in this country, but from country to country. You know, in some countries it's 14, for crying out loud. And even the age of consent can be different, have different meanings in different countries. In some countries where it's 14, it is 14. It doesn't matter. You could be 50 years old and have a sexual encounter with a 14-year-old, and by that country's standards, it's legal. But Milo's going to be just fine. So you know what it takes? It means that if you are a conservative and the liberals come after you, you're probably going to be bigger than before. Maybe they should come after me. Bring it.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Hello, America. It's me, your history. I remember a time when we thumbed our nose in a king's face, sent him packing. And when fascists and emperors talked a little bit too loud, we showed up, tore their cities to the ground, and then rebuilt them just to prove we could. We put men on the moon, we won a Cold War, and we elected fearless leaders who led fearless people. What the hell happened to you, America? Back in my day, we didn't elect a big-eared community organizer. We punched him in the kidney. Maybe it's time you came home, America. Home where you belong.
(603-835-3226). That is the number to call should you wish to join me here live, here on the Rod Eccles Show this Thursday morning, Thirsty Thursday. I'm here to drench the thirsty with truth, and not the ecclesiastics or liberty lovers, because they're well drenched in the truth, which is why they're liberty lovers and ecclesiastites. It's you leftists that tune into this show every once in a while. That need it. That need to take a deep, long drink of the truth. A little off base this morning. Here's some breaking news. I guess there was a single ticket holder winner, or a single ticket winner. Now, I don't know if it's one person or not, but the Powerball has a jackpot of $435 million has been won by one ticket, it appears. And who knows, how many people actually that ticket belong to. It could be a group of, there have been, employee groups of various sizes that have won large jackpots in the past. $435 million all at once could be. Now, I really honestly hope that whoever, whether it be a single person or a group of people, that's a lot of money, that they go out and find themselves some competent financial and legal representation. Because all too often, people run out there when they win a jackpot of any size, and before you know it, they're broke and or bankrupt. Literally, they're going through bankruptcy because they've blown through every. I mean, and it happens not just with lottery winners. This sort of thing happens with a lot of sports stars. While they're playing and they're receiving their salaries, their bloated salaries, they're fine. But as soon as they stop playing, they don't have any or a lot of endorsements or outside income coming in, and they continue their spendthrift ways that they did when they were making their full salary, and they quickly blow through it, and then they find out that they're broke. And then you have the sad cases of those people who don't pay close attention to their finances, and this happens a lot with the mega stars, believe it or not. I think Mike Tyson fell victim to this. I think there have been a few movie stars that have fallen victim to the unscrupulous accountants and money people that they hire to supposedly watch over their money. And they don't pay attention until somebody comes knocking on their door looking for a payment of something, and they're like, what are you talking about? I got plenty of money. No, and they go and check it and find out they don't have any money. And it usually happens when the IRS comes calling. You haven't paid your taxes in 5 years, you owe us $6 million. And that's probably the first that they've ever heard of it, honestly. And they you look back at them thinking, what the hell are you talking about? And then that's when they go and find out that their accountant or their financial planner, whoever it is, all of a sudden skips town because people don't keep track of their own finance. And this is partly to blame. The part of the blame is our poor educational system. We don't teach kids how to handle money. I mean, a lot of people don't even know how to. Well, I guess they don't need to anymore. But a lot of people don't even know how to write a check or balance their checkbook. And people think because they don't write checks, they don't need to balance their checkbook. Well, yeah, you need to balance your accounts on a monthly basis. I mean, I used to do it on a weekly basis. because I wanted to know exactly where everything was going. I needed to. But people don't even, they don't balance their accounts at all. And you've got to, because you never know. I've picked up numerous problems just from balancing my accounts on a monthly basis. You look at something, wait a minute, where did this? And it's nothing to do with checks. You just use a debit card or your credit card or what have you, and then comes you see a payment there. You're like, I don't remember making that. I have caught a number of cases where somebody said, well, yeah, you signed up for this and it's a monthly withdrawal. I said, no, I didn't. I don't want your service, didn't ask for your service, don't need your service. Now, you need to reverse it before I tell my bank that there's fraud going on here. Now, a lot of people don't even see that. And I've heard this, one of the reasons why everything that you see out there, on these monthly service charges, they maximize the charge. And this is how they do it. You see, most people, if you charge anywhere from $5.99 to $9.99 a month for a service fee, most people do not even bother to notice it. It's less than $10 a month. Who's got time to pay attention to $10 a month, man? Because everybody thinks that they're more important than $10 a month. And what happens is that credit card companies and a lot of these membership companies, they'll charge you, like I said, $5 or $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 a month. You don't even notice it. You end up getting stuff that you don't even want or use, and you even forget about it. It's like some of these gym memberships. They charge you, it's only $10 a month. $10 down, $10 a month. And then after 2 months, you stop going to the gym, and you keep saying, well, I'll cancel the payment, later. And then you forget about it, and you never see it again because you don't go into your accounts and do an audit of your accounts and balance your accounts every month. So every month, that $10 comes out of your account, and you never go to the gym, and they love you for it. They're never going to tell you that they're still taking your money. They're just going to take it. And I never forget a time a few years ago. I had a friend of mine. He was saying, you know what? I don't know why I'm so broke all the time. And I looked at him and said, well, what do you mean? You can't be broke. You make good money. Yeah, but for some reason I seem to run out of money too fast. He said, when was the last time you actually balanced your accounts? He goes, I don't write checks. It's the first thing he said to me. I don't write checks. I said, you idiot, go look. He went and looked. He had 12 different service contracts that were coming out of his account every month. He didn't even know. He had forgotten or he didn't even know. Those 12 service contracts were charging him over $100 a month. $10 a piece. And he was like, wait a minute. I said, yeah, this is why you got to do this every month, because you never know. And he went back a couple of months. In 1 month, he found a nearly $500 charge he knew nothing about. Because he never balanced his accounts. Our government kind of does the same thing, They don't balance their accounts. All they want is more and more and more money. And then when it shows up and hits the news, oh yeah, the military just paid $500 for a hammer and $1,200 for a toilet seat, then everybody throws up their arms and goes, what? How is that possible? It's because nobody's auditing anybody. And supposedly we have all this auditing going on. Nobody audits anybody in the government. There's no way in hell that they could possibly be doing monthly audits, because if they did, they wouldn't spend half the money that they spend. You wouldn't have different departments having these spendthrift vacations and retreats all over the place. Remember those? The EPA and I think was it DEA or some and a few others going on these lavish retreats on taxpayer money. And they get away with it because nobody does any auditing. They claim they do auditing, but nobody does anything about it. They don't balance the books. This is how we get so much waste. And then of course, you have government officials that somehow lose hundreds of thousands, millions, and sometimes a few $1 billion. Where did all that money go? Well, I don't know. And they expect you to believe them when they tell you, well, we don't know. I mean, it just went somewhere. And then we know it's missing. And then we have Congress that claims they're going to investigate. And we don't hear anything more about it. Didn't $6 billion disappear under Clinton's tutelage of the State Department? Anybody ever find out where that money went? Did we ever find out where it went? How it became missing? Now, granted, a lot of times it's not just cash money, but it's it's equipment, or it's some sort of service. They're supposed to be putting up buildings, but no buildings went up. The equipment was missing. Anybody ever find out where all that money went? No, I'm still wondering. That's because our government doesn't audit itself, and it doesn't allow for external auditing. I mean, I have no, now look, I am not one of the anti-Bilderberg types. I'm not into the conspiracy theory realm, but I'm telling you that these people fight tooth and nail to keep the people from auditing the Federal Reserve for a reason. There is massive fraud in the Federal Reserve. I bet you there is massive amounts of money that has been pilfered or missing or misplaced or what have you. If we were to actually totally and completely and honestly audit the Fed, the American people and indeed the world would be horrified, and it would probably send the entire world into a depression. Because the Fed, the U.S. Federal Reserve, is tied in tightly with world, country banks, state banks around the world. I bet the reason that we can't do an audit, I know we want to, but I'm telling you, we probably can't, because if somebody actually did an honest audit of the Fed, it would shake up the financial world like you've never seen before. Why else do you have a bunch of people who say, well, we need to audit the Fed? No, you can't audit the Fed. Why? Opening their books doesn't mean that they won't remain supposedly independent. It's just letting us know where they're spending the money, what the accounts look like. But we can't do that. And they fight tooth and nail to keep us from doing that. And you really have to wonder if what's in those books, what's in there? What is it that they do not want the general public to see? I mean, a bank has to be audited. You go to your credit union, has to be audited by an outside source. They can't do their own audit. No, it's going to be done by an outside source. Everybody, and the IRS comes in and they can audit companies and people. Everybody in the private sector can be audited by an outside entity. But when it comes to the government, no, you can't do an outside audit. Government, the General Services Administration, the GSA will do the auditing, or the Congressional Bank Office will do it. The CBO, they'll do the auditing. Or the Treasury Department will do its own. I mean, do you audit yourself? Really? No. But then when it comes to the Federal Reserve, hey, let's audit the Fed. No, you can't audit the Fed. You can't audit the Federal Reserve. They're an independent entity. They're individual banks separate from the Treasury Department. They're not part of the federal government. You can't audit them. Well, you know what? Then they need to be audited just like a regular bank. Because the Federal Reserve is not part of the federal government. A lot of Americans don't realize that, by the way. I mean, do people actually realize that the United States Treasury Department does not print money? They do not coin money. Do you realize that what you have in your pocket, in your wallet, purse, if it's paper money, is not money at all? It's a promissory note. Do you realize that? And do you realize it's not printed or issued by the federal government? It's issued by a private bank called the Federal Reserve. Yes, the Federal Reserve is a private national bank. Sure, the government, the president gets to appoint who runs the bank, but there was a question on it the other day. I heard Rush Limbaugh ask. It's just, people are saying, well, why don't they just fire the Federal Reserve chairmen? And the point is, or the problem is the president can appoint somebody to one of the chairmanships of one of the Federal Reserve banks. The president can't fire him. In fact, nobody knows how to remove them other than death or retirement. Isn't that interesting? But the president can't fire him. Donald Trump cannot walk into a Federal Reserve office and say, you're fired. He doesn't have that power. He and Congress, he can appoint them and Congress can approve them, but after that, everybody's hands are off. You can't even impeach them. Do you realize that? You cannot impeach the only way you can get rid of a Federal Reserve chairman that people understand and know of right now, and I've been doing some digging, is if they commit a crime and you arrest them and they get convicted. That's the only way you can remove them. One of the most powerful positions in the world, a Federal Reserve Bank chairman, and they're accountable to no one. Which is why nobody wants to audit them.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
A couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Just in, as I am, I've been informed, and I did a quick look at it, and it appears to be true. Alan Colmes, formerly of Hannity and Colmes, Alan Colmes, the leftist news commentator and talk show host, has reportedly passed away at the age of 66 after suffering a short illness. Now, they're not saying what that illness was. And what I briefly had a chance to read over, and it's sad. It really, I mean, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but Alan Colmes was a terrible talk show host. He was I couldn't watch Hannity and Colmes because he was on it. I know he was half of Hannity and Colmes, obviously, but he was a terrible host. Not because he was a leftist; it was just because he was terrible. Frankly, I think he was one of if you're looking at the top 15 or top 20 syndicated talk shows out there on the radio and terrestrial air, I think he was the only liberal. No, I think there was also a few, but basically he was it. You know, they used to say that, Alan Colmes was one of the top, had one of the top 11 syndicated shows out there, radio shows. Well, he was actually number 11. All the other top 10 were a bunch of conservatives, basically. So I don't know what they're gonna do now. But yeah, evidently, prayers and well wishes go out to the family. I mean, he did seem like a nice guy. Sean Hannity said he was a nice guy. They didn't agree politically or about social issues, but he said he was a nice guy. But that's that's kind of shocking and surprising. Godspeed, Alan Colmes. We will pray for you and your family. Well, actually, for you, it's really too late, but we can still pray for your family. But it is sad when you lose somebody on the left or the right suddenly. Now, I think we can have some empathy when things like this happens, because you don't want it to be out of the blue. You don't want something out of the blue like this to happen, because it's sad. I mean, I know it's a fact of life, but it is sad. But yes, it appears to be accurate. Alan Colmes passes away at the age of 66.
America is America because it is so American. The children, they are the future of children, and she loves the children. Diversity is diverse when diversity is diversified. For a future you can see, for a future that brings with it all the hopes of tomorrow. By doing everything we did yesterday, we need a leader, we need a champion, we need her.
Vote for me! It's enough now! Give me it! It's mine! I want it! Just give me it! I want it now!
Stop asking questions and just give it to her already. Or you're a sexist racist.
Paid for by criminals and idiots for Hillary Clinton, because let's
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
And welcome back. It is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live again from the Bunker Eye studio, located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. Here it is, hour number 2 on this Thursday, February number 23 in the year of our Lord 2017. Welcome aboard to you ecclesiastites and liberty lovers, as well as all of y'all who are just testing the waters, just checking it out. Call in number 603-835-3226, and you could utilize that number anytime during the broadcast. If you have something on your mind, if you want to comment or add your 2 cents, well, what is it, a nickel now? Inflation. If you want to add your nickel to the conversation. Yesterday, I was listening to Howie Carr, and I got dragged into a chat room of Howie Carr's, and she seemed like a nice lady, and she wasn't young. You know, she sounded like when she actually got on the air with Howie, and she sounded like she was a little bit older. Now, I'm not saying that she was 60 or 70 or 80, but at least greater than 40s. What she sounded like. That's what her voice sounded like. She sounded like she was older than 40. And she was on the air with him for about a minute, but she was upset that she got cut off. And she was complaining that, she lost respect for Howie. He didn't give her a chance to get her point across. Like, you know what? In most cases, this is how it works. And I was trying, and I was stupid. I was trying to alleviate her depression or her bad feelings, and I was trying to tell her, well, you didn't do a bad job. You have to get to your point right off the bat, or sometimes that the host thinks you're in danger of being boring, and they have to make a decision pretty darn quick about you. And she didn't want to have anything of it. I mean, she was getting mad at me. I said, look, all you got to do is next time you call in, and she's like, I'll never call in again. I said, well, in case you do, you've got to present your point like a headline. That's the first thing you say. One of the most irritating things to me that I hear on talk radio, and you can hear it a lot of times in the host voices, when people, they ramble on for the first 10 or 15 seconds about, hey, how you doing? Glad I got through and blah, 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 blah. And 15 seconds later, they finally start to get to their point, and they still don't get to their point. It's frustrating. This is how, if you want to call a well-known national talk show, this is how you get on and get to stay on the air. Because people wonder why they get cut off. I mean, this is what you do. I mean, you just say, well, let's call Rush, for example. Say, hi, Rush. I'm calling because, she was calling because of two churches in her town had banners up that were welcoming illegals. I guess the banner said, we welcome illegals here. And evidently, and she didn't even get this across on the air. She just said, well, two of our churches, I'm so upset. There's two churches that have banners that are accepting illegals. And Howie went off into his little tangent about it, and then she was gone. And she was upset that she didn't get to point out that she tried to contact the mayor and the county commissioner, and nobody would listen to her. I said, next time you call in, this is how you have to present that. You have to give it a headline. Hey, Rush, I'm calling because in my town there are two churches that are housing illegal immigrants, and the mayor of my town told me to go screw. Now, she said, well, my mayor didn't tell me that. I said, that's how you have to headline it, because then he's going to say, whoa, wait. And he's going to want to know more about what happened. And then you get the chance to fully explain it. But if you don't grab their attention, they're going to dump you as soon as they can to move on to the next caller that might be more interesting. That's the way it works. It's not just Howie, it's all of them. Hell, I've done that. If somebody calls here and I might not have anybody else on the line, but if they're going to be boring about it and not get to their point, then boom, they're gone. I mean, this is we're all in the information business, trying to inform our listening public, but you also have to understand it has to be entertaining. Because if you bore your listeners, they're going to go away. You're not going to have a show anymore. So, and I'm trying to explain this to her, and she just wasn't. And silly me, it took me a while to realize that she took it to. You can never take it personally. You can never if they cut you off, you never take it personally. If they hang up on you, don't take it personally. Trust me, back in the Blog Talk days, I would call some of these liberal stations. They would cut me off and block me, but I didn't take it personally. I mean, they had to they did what they felt that was best for their program, I guess. Maybe I was too fiery or I wasn't fiery enough for them. But I learned really quick that you basically have to present your headline to catch their attention. Because the first people you got to get through, of course, is a call screener. By the way, I don't call in talk shows a lot, and I didn't in the past, but whenever I got to a call screener, I always got on the program. I got on Howie. It's been years now, but I got on Howie Carr twice in the past when I tried calling. The Tom Likas program, I also called in and got on a number of times when he was on the Boston stations, because I learned this is what you do. You present your point as a headline, as an attention-grabbing headline, and they will give you the necessary amount of time to explain your point, because if you pick their interest, they're going to say, wait, oh, that's interesting. So if somebody were to call me and say, yeah, Rod, there are two churches in my town that are harboring illegal immigrants, and when I called the mayor, he told me to go screw, I'd want to know what the hell they were talking about. Wouldn't you? So it's you got to understand how it works. You can't just go on the air and say, well, how are you? First time, long time, last time caller, been fifth time calling in. So you're so wonderful. And they hear that. You know who gets upset with that kind of stuff? Is Mark Levin and Michael Savage. Michael Savage will savage a caller if they call in like that. I don't listen to Michael Savage. It's a rare occasion I listen to Michael Savage. But every time I have tuned him in, and you get that one or two callers that start off that way, man, he eviscerates them. Because he's basically telling him what I'm telling you. You get to the point, right? If you're interesting enough, you'll get to the point where you get to do all that. Well, Michael Savage doesn't get to the personal stuff at all. I've never heard him do that. But other talk shows, they'll allow you to get to a little bit of the personal stuff. Hey, how you doing? That kind of thing. But if you don't get their attention right off the bat, you try to get into that stuff right off the bat, and they'll eviscerate you. Levin is like that as well. But and Howie Carr's been at this a long time. I mean, not as long as some of the others. I mean, how long has Rush has been at this? For nearly 30 years now. So, and that's why he's the granddaddy. But a lot of these other people, they've been at it a while, so they kind of know what they. I like to think, I've been at this since 2009, so I like to think that I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. Any case, just a little bit of it's a seminar on how to call. What is it? Rush calls them seminar callers. Well, I just gave you a short seminar on how to be a good caller on any talk show host. Grab their attention, and pretty soon if you like to call in a lot, you'll be moved to the head of the line every time you call in. Because if you keep being interesting like that, you're the first people they want to talk to. Here's a story out there, out of California, and this is from the Politico. California instituted or passed a law basically a while ago that a lot of people thought it directly targeted one company. And they thought it directly targeted IMDb, the online, whatever you want to call it. It's like TMZ. Well, it's not even like TMZ. It's just, if you want to get some, and it's not even all that informative about individual stars. It really isn't. But it was really directed at them and them alone because it had to do with IMDb publishing. Now, IMDb, they're owned by Amazon, I do believe. But it targeted them directly because IMDb often publish the birth dates and ages of so-called stars. And some of the stars didn't like that. So they twisted the arms of their California state legislatures in order to and claimed it was to help prevent age discrimination in Hollywood. Now, frankly, preventing one online site, no matter how well traveled or visited it is not going to prevent. It's not even going to put a dent in the it's just amazing. They talk about all this. Hollywood is full of a bunch of liberals. It's full of a bunch of elitist liberals. And every time you turn around, they're looking at trying to force some law on the rest of us because they can't police themselves. While they're out there telling us, that, we need to be more open and eliminate age discrimination and eliminate racial discrimination. And every time you turn around again, there's somebody within that community that is blaming and bashing the Hollywood leftist elite with doing the thing that they're out there claiming that nobody else should be doing. So Hollywood's supposed to be, all this wonderful place where it's all about your talent and has nothing to do with your age. Obviously, because half these movie stars are over the age of 60 now. These action stars are over 60 years old, and they're making these action movies, and their love interest is in their 20s. And I know there are a lot of ladies out there, female actresses out there who are kind of tired of that as well. Well, why are they always getting the young woman? Why don't they have an older woman or something? It doesn't. Does anybody really think that in real life Harrison Ford, at his age, or Jack Nicholson, is going to land a 20 or 30 something in regular? I mean, just regular life. Is that really going to happen? No, it's not going to happen. But they're in the movie because of their name, their star quality, and they usually get that star quality over time. So it means they have to be a little bit older. So they wanted to prevent people from, and it's not the only place you can go to get these people's birth dates and ages. I mean, for crying out loud, they act like nobody's ever going to find out how old they are. What, do some of them have something to hide when it comes to age? Just wondering.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show, the coolest, most politically incorrect, conservative black man on the planet.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
603-835-3226. Again, that is the phone number to call this particular program, should you wish to call, and hopefully get right to the point when you do call. Just keep the seminar in mind. Hey, Trump has one of the most open door policy presidencies in modern history. And this is actually coming from the Politico. The White House staff may have more access to the president than any other president in modern history. And his open doors, basically, there are bunches and bunches of people within the Trump administration that can just, pop in their head without an appointment. Just walked in the door, to the Oval Office. I did not know, and this is for people who think that Trump is a racist. Everybody remember the first Celebrity Apprentice, the first couple of years? Remember Omarosa? Yeah, well, she's a black woman. And she was hired by Trump, basically, she was an apprentice winner, I do believe. She was definitely a finalist. Omarosa is now in the Trump administration. I did not know that. I always tell you if I don't know something. I don't claim to ever know everything. I hate people who try to sound like they know it all. They just be more real and say, well, you just found this out. I just found out that Omarosa Manigault, former Celebrity Apprentice, is now turned into a White House advisor. And whenever she needs to talk to the President Donald, she simply strolls into the Oval Office, according to Politico, because of his open door policy. This guy is just turning Washington, D.C. upside down, inside out. He is not doing anything, it seems, the way things have normally been done over recent history. I mean, you don't. By comparison, there was hardly anybody that had an open door kind of policy with President Obama. You had to get through the gatekeeper, have an appointment. Even some of his cabinet members had to have an appointment to get to see Obama. He was closed door, because he was relishing in the fact that I'm president, you're not. But here's a guy, one of the most powerful men on the planet right now, and he has got an open door policy. Just pop on in. Hey, you got something for me? Come on in. I mean, think about that. That's how any good leader should be. You don't waste his time, obviously. But it should be at the point where you've got something that's important that needs to be discussed, or he needs to be informed of. You shouldn't have to have an appointment or have to explain to the gatekeeper what you're trying to tell the president or anybody else in leadership. You should be able to stroll in and say, hey, did you hear this? Or see, this is important, sir. You see this? Hear about this? Or I think we should definitely do this. That's how good leaders are good leaders. It's called getting pertinent information. And you can't always get pertinent information in a timely fashion if everybody has to have an appointment. Now, trust me, if you keep walking in to say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How's your day going? I'm sure he's going to get you blocked pretty soon and pretty damn quick. But here, you don't see or hear any of this in the lamestream media, do you? I'm surprised we're even seeing it written here in Politico. But the other thing that's getting my goat is remember during the transition. Remember during the transition in New York, when people in New York, especially the liberals in New York, were claiming that Trump should leave New York, he should sell his building because he was interrupting everybody's lives over there on Fifth Ave, in and around Trump Tower, and that he should sell it and he should move because it was terrible, it was interrupting, and blah blah, all that kind of negative stuff about Trump being there. Now, since being inaugurated, Trump evidently has not been back to Trump Tower. He's always gone to Mar-a-Lago. And wouldn't you know it, you got a bunch of liberals up there talking about, well, Trump never comes back to New York. All he wants to do is go down to his golf club down there in Mar-a-Lago. We're not good enough for him in New York anymore. Are you kidding me? First you were complaining that he was there and he was disrupting you. And so now maybe he actually listened to you, said, well, New York is a bad place to be all the time. It's going to disrupt people. I care about the people. I don't want to disrupt their lives, and their lives are going to be disrupted. And in New York City, that's a major thoroughfare, and try to route traffic around and all that extra security. It's a pain and it's a bottleneck. So he's saying, well, let's go to Mar-a-Lago instead. And now you want to complain about I remember a guy who didn't care at all if he disrupted your day and your life. Yeah, I remember when he came to Boston and did the same thing.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message.
Number of people, as I mentioned earlier, that can get into, basically pop their head in order to see the president. And it's not just Omarosa that gets to do that. Now, according to this piece in the Politico by Annie Carney, Karni, Annie Carney, this is what Annie, I'm going to assume by the name Annie that she's a she. I know I probably shouldn't do that nowadays, but she's a she by the name Annie. As an assistant to the president and director of communications for the Office of Public Liaison, Omarosa enjoys what Trump aides refer to as walk-in privileges, meaning she doesn't need an appointment or permission to pop her head in and consult with the leader of the free world. Her level of easy access marks a break from the previous administration where President Barack Obama and his gatekeeper chiefs of staff kept at bay the number of aides, even senior officials who simply walked in without an appointment. In other words, they couldn't walk in without an appointment. In contrast, Trump may have set up the most accessible Oval Office in modern history. Now, along with Omarosa, White House officials say that the list of people that have walk-in privileges includes Steve Bannon, Stephen Miller, the senior policy advisor, Reince Priebus, his son-in-law Jared Kushner, Kellyanne Conway, that White House counsel Don McGahn has walk-in privileges, as does the senior communications aide Hope Hicks, and Keith Schiller, his longtime private security aide who followed him to the White House. Didn't I tell you he was going to take him with him? There he is. Keith Schiller, Trump's private security chief, who was his longtime security aide and then security chief, personal security chief. I told you he was going to take him with him. Well, he's there, White House. Trump's new national security advisor, General McMaster, also has walk-in privileges, as do Press Secretary Sean Spicer and a number of others, including Economic Advisor Gary Cohn, Deputy Chief of Staff of Operations Joe Hagan, and a number of others. So people who Trump hires and trust. And obviously, talk about loyalty. You become the president of the United States and you bring along your own private security chief with you? Now, I don't know how the Secret Service views that, but, it's too bad. Here's a guy who trusts this man with his life and loyal enough to bring him along. I mean, the loyalty of Donald J. Trump is legend. I mean, the man, it's as what we see often, and I know I'm for most of you, I'm speaking to the choir on this. But if you go back in Trump's personal history and you just review his history, and if you watch any of those pre-presidential biographies of Donald Trump, even on left-leaning PBS, and I've watched a number of them. I read a few books that written by him, about him, as well as, others written about him. And none of the stuff that they're currently saying about him was ever said about him before. None of this stuff. Nobody ever called Donald Trump a racist before he got into the race. Never. He was never construed or considered or thought to be a racist. He was just the opposite. He came across as being a bit boisterous and arrogant. And again, when you're at that level and you're able to accomplish what he accomplishes, well, you got to expect a little bit of arrogance. But he was also known to be a very open-minded person. In fact, he listened to his advisors. And some people have said maybe Trump listened too much to some of his advisors. That's how he got into some of the financial troubles that he got into, because he listened to the advice of too many of the wrong people. Now, you can speculate on that all you. I mean, people make mistakes. They do. Doesn't matter who you are. It's just that when you're at Trump's level, those mistakes are a lot bigger than what you or I can make. But he's never been closed door. He has. I remember, Trump talking about his family and his when he was giving it. Who was it? He was giving an interview, and I think he was on 2020, and they were in his office during the day, and I can't believe they actually it was one of the news magazines. Maybe it was one of the other ones that aren't on anymore, but it was in the 80s. And he was doing an interview, and I can't believe they actually showed it. They didn't end up on the cutting room floor, but they actually showed it. He was talking with the journalist, reporter, whoever it was, and I remember this distinctly. And he gets a call. Your son is on the line? Right there in the middle of the interview. He said, "Excuse me. I always take calls from my kids." Right there in the middle of the day, in the middle of an interview, the man probably has a million things to do. One of his sons calls. He immediately picks up the phone. And his aides and his longtime secretary said that's a standing procedure. He always has done that. So he's a family man, too. But you don't hear any of that now. You don't hear about any of that. So but I know a lot of people have not been on the so-called Trump bandwagon for long, so they don't know all the backstory. I know the backstory because I have followed Donald Trump since his rise in the 80s. And I know who he was, and he's still the same person. He's just older now. But I mean, it's just ridiculous what we're getting from the leftist lamestream media. They're successfully painting a picture that is not Donald. Is a Donald Trump doppelganger. And every time you try to point out to these people, well, how can he possibly be a racist if he's always worked with this person, this kind of person, these kind of people, and you got these people over here that talk about how they love him, and these people over here that are minorities that talk about how they love him, and this contractor who's a minority who does work in many of his buildings. He's done work and he's helped a lot of minorities, but somehow the label of racist is starting to stick. And here you have. He's got one of the first apprentices, successful apprentices from one of the early apprentice shows. Omarosa is now in his administration. Last time I checked, Omarosa, he's a womanizer too, right? Last time I checked, Omarosa was a black female. And she's in his White House. How do you get to be in a Trump White House if you're a black female, if Trump is a bigoted, racist, misogynist? Why would you even take the job if you knew that was the case? Well, you wouldn't. And this is what's so frustrating, is that you have these people that have a particular, they do not give a damn about this country. They are willing to, it is. I heard this. Being in the construction field before, I heard this term. You don't tear down the house just to remodel the bathroom. Well, this is what the lamestream media and the extreme left is willing to do. They're willing to tear down the mansion in order to remodel the half bath that nobody uses. And it's shameful, and no wonder they're losing trust among the public. The problem is that our media has gotten too cozy with leadership around the world that they now think that they're a part of the elitist party. They're not elites. They like to think that they are. Oh, they get to go to, and rub shoulders at the power elite of the world. They go to these parties and dinner parties and balls and events, and they get to talk to them anytime they want to, just about, hey, can you sit down and have an interview? I mean, look at Barbara Walters. Barbara Walters calls, says she wants to do an interview with you. There's hardly a person on the planet, even if you're a dictator, there's hardly a person on the planet that said no to Barbara Walters. So these people think that they are in this elitist leadership group and they can say and do whatever they want. Who was it on? Was it Morning Joe the other day? Actually had a Freudian slip and actually said, well, basically he said, Trump is trying to tell everybody what to think, and that's our job. No, it's not anybody's job to tell us what to think. You're supposed, especially the media, you're supposed to report the facts. Let us decide for ourselves. And Trump is not out there trying to get people to he's not trying to tell people what to think. But you got the media out there who is blatant enough to now admit that they think that their job is to tell you and I, to tell us what we should be thinking. And they get frustrated and upset and mad as hell when we don't go along with them and we don't think the way they want us to think. I mean, you could see it. You saw it at election night. They were beside themselves. How could this possibly be? We told you what to think about Donald Trump, and you still elected him. How could you do that? Let me tell you, that was more of a shock and a wake-up call for the media than Donald Trump actually winning. The shock to them was that you and I, we did not listen to them. We did not let them tell us what to think and what to believe. And they thought that they had a clear shot and a clear right to be the only ones to tell us what to think, how to think, when to think, and how to vote. Because they had been able to get away with it at least the past 8 years. And this time, when they came out, shot after shot, night after night, throwing everything, including the kitchen sink at Donald Trump, to try to get us to believe their lies and their bullshit, and we didn't buy it. We didn't believe them. We didn't let them tell us how to think, what to think, and where to think about Donald Trump. And we still elected him. And that was a huge shock to their system. You got some pundits out there telling you, yeah, they were shocked that Donald Trump won. No, they weren't shocked that Donald Trump won. The shock was, and don't doubt me on this, and they a Freudian slip, if you want to call it a Freudian slip, the other day, this is how most of them think. This is how most of the media thinks. They believe that it is their job to tell you what to think. And the shock to their system past November 8th was that they found out that the vast majority of Americans did not listen to them, did not believe them, and refused to let them tell them what to think about Donald Trump and about a number of other people. That was the shock. And it was it was like a 10 on the Richter scale earthquake in the lamestream media. And if you see, they have it was like a wake up call for them. They all of a sudden they started, it was night after night, negative. Before the man even every time he did something that was good and positive that Barack Obama couldn't do, They had at least three negative stories on him. Oh, Trump's, just went to Carrier and saved 1,200 jobs. But he did this, and he did this in the past, and he's still like this, and he's still got to answer for this. And you're like, are you kidding me? They doubled down. And we still didn't believe him. And so now they are so brazen, and they are so ticked off at the American people, that now they feel they can actually come out and say, look, it is not Trump's job or any politician's job to tell you what you should think. It's not their job to give you the facts. It's our job, the lamestream media's job, to tell you what to think. It is our job. We're the only ones, because we're the media, we're the elitists, we're the only ones that can tell you what to think. And you damn well better fall in line and believe what we tell you. And the American people, indeed, a lot of people across the world, the Western world now, are sticking up their middle finger at the various lamestream medias and saying, go screw. We're not going to follow you.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Nancy Pelosi, the venerable congresswoman from Californication, is in the news again, and not in a good way. Now, before I get into this, let's just run it down, shall we? Nancy Pelosi is 76 years old, And by comparison, her compatriarchs, Dianne Feinstein is 83, Barbara Boxer is 76, Maxine Waters is 78, Sheila Jackson Lee is 67, and Barbara Lee is 70. Those are all the the senior moonbat females on the Democrat side. And, they're aged. They're aged. And look, and by the same token, that you got on the other side, you got John McCain. Got some news about him too. You got McCain out there who's a moonbat on the right. He's a Republican moonbat. He's 80. And these are the same people that went along with the whole idea that Ronald Reagan, when Ronald Reagan was 74 or 75, oh yeah, he's got Alzheimer's. Ronald Reagan doesn't, he takes naps during the middle of the day, and Nancy is running everything because Ronald Reagan doesn't know what the hell's going on. Well, why can't we say the same thing about these people? In fact, we've got more evidence that something's going on with Nancy Pelosi than we did about Ronald Reagan or any other person just about in public office of the last 30 or so years. During a Friday appearance before Families USA, which is the left-leaning, not left-leaning, they are leftist activist group fighting the repeal of Obamacare. Now, Pelosi was seen repeating her words, telling the audience when to clap, and claiming that John Kasich was the governor of Illinois. I don't know. When you tell people, hey, you can clap at that now. Yes, you can clap. And I know my Republican friend, the governor of Illinois, John Kasich, agrees with me. Now, she began by thanking the person who introduced her for his recanting of what happened at the time Democrats and activist groups rammed through Obamacare. Oh, yeah, we didn't ram it through. Not a single Republican voted for it, so I guess you did ram it through. You did it through cloture, too, so I guess you did ram it through. Now, she recalled telling her fellow Democrats that the Affordable Care Act was going to be a major achievement for government programs and this is what she said, stand there with Social Security and Medicare. Now, apparently, she probably meant Medicaid for the second Medicare, but this is something that she's been doing a lot of, repeating herself, claiming that this person is in a position that they're not in. I mean, obviously, Kasich is obviously not the governor of Illinois, but the governor of Ohio. If anybody has signs of mental depravity coming on due to old age, it is her. Oh, and don't even get me started about Maxine Waters. I mean, that woman is so flippantly lost her mind. She's so flippantly crazy. It's ridiculous. I mean, we got a bunch of, and how about all the things that Barbara Boxer has said over the past 10 years? I'm just go back 10 years. That's it. I mean, sure, we can go back further and find stuff, but I'm just saying of late. These people are loony. They've lost their damn minds, and and this is how you know that there's something going on, because the lamestream media is trying to say and trying to point to certain things that says Donald Trump may have some sort of mental condition coming on, like Alzheimer's or schizophrenia or something, anything mental. But they're doing this to hide the fact that the very people that they've been supporting all these years, like Nancy Pelosi, they're the ones that are really showing signs of mental degradation. They're the ones showing the signs of mental degradation. I wouldn't be surprised if we started finding out that all this stuff was actually true about the leftists. Don't doubt me.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm a leftist elite Hollywood a-hole? If so, good news. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College is now open, featuring such courses as unemployment is not paid vacation. No, Americans don't want to spend $19 for an order of French fries, and the ever popular shut the hell up. Why, just listen to this big-time celebrity endorsement.
I'm not Rosie O'Donnell, and I think this school's offensive, sexist, and racist.
And I think you're a giant a-hole who needs to shut the hell up. Hey, we teach a course in that. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College, where being an a-hole is not a guarantee you'll be an A student.
following program is recommended for mature individuals and may contain material unsuitable for morons, cretins, and dishwipes. If you are a moron or a member of the PTL Club, please turn off your radio, because we don't need any more stupid, narrow-minded, pencil-neck geeks who wouldn't know the First Amendment if it came up and bit them on the butt. Thank you.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill.
a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Welcome back. Here it is, hour number 3 already here on the Rod Eccles Show. The fastest 3 hours in Internet Talk Radio is right here. I am, of course, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from the Bunker Eye Studio. Yes, that's right, L. Rod, also known as the Rod of Truth, the Lightning Rod of Truth, Nitro Rod, and a whole bunch of other nicknames out there that I definitely wear as a badge of honor. So every once in a while, somebody will come up with a new nickname. I think I kind of like Nitro Rod too. Well, that explains sometimes if you listen to the program often enough, you know that sometimes a rant goes nuclear. Now, of course, I have many rants almost daily, but every once in a while, the rant goes nuclear, and that's when somebody, I think it was LJ. She named me Nitro Rod. Or is it Nuclear Rod? Yeah, I've been called that too, Nuclear Rod. But anyway, welcome back. Here it is on Thirsty Thursday. Those people who are thirsty for the truth, they come here. And you can even call the program. It's 603-835-3226. That is the number to utilize as we continue to broadcast. The temperature here has risen a little bit. And when we started the program this morning, it was 32, and now it is a fast rising, balmy 49 here in northern New England. It's getting nice. It's going to be it's another midwinter thaw day here in northern New England. We get those days. It's normal. Don't let the leftists tell you any. Hey, by the way, speaking of leftists, I know I've mentioned it on this program before. I mentioned it earlier. They're still digging out the garbage up there in the Dakotas from the pipeline protest. And the interesting thing is even after this, the Standing Rock Dakota Sioux asked the people to leave, they basically told the Dakota Sioux to go screw. I thought they were there to protect the sacred lands of the Sioux Indian and the Sioux Nation, And when the very people that they were there to protect asked them to leave, the fight was over, they got what they wanted, they wouldn't leave. And then when they finally did leave, they left an environmental mess. And anyway, it's just a mess up there now, and they have to comb through all that garbage. You know what they should? They should send Nancy Pelosi up there. Yeah, and see what she has to say about it. We have to bury the garbage in order to find out what's in it. So we could probably use that quote of hers for a lot of different stupid stuff. And by the way, speaking of old I don't know, but maybe Arizona should maybe they should court Bernie Sanders. And I'm serious. Think about it. I mean, you've got this old crazy curmudgeon, John McCain. At least Bernie Sanders, you think what you want about his own personal life and his policies. Yes, Bernie Sanders owns 3 homes now, and none of them have a mortgage on it. Maybe he should court him and have him buy a house there so he can become your senator and unseat John McCain. I mean, what McCain has been doing lately, I cannot, as much as I disagree with Bernie Sanders, and as much as I know that he's a socialist bordering on a communist, I don't think Bernie Sanders would go to Europe, Munich, and give a speech before a bunch of elitists who are on their way out in Europe and tell them how bad the American president is. I don't even think that he would do that. As Crazy Bernie is, and Crazy Bernie's crazy like a fox, he's better than McCain at the moment. McCain is yeah. Now there's another. He's a Republican moonbat, and he's out there. Well, I guess he just made according to the Wall Street Journal, he made a secret trip to Syria. Now, I don't know how big of a secret it is if the Wall Street Journal finds out about it and prints it. But anyway, he traveled to the Kurdish-controlled Kobani area. This is what U.S. officials are saying. Why do we have a sitting senator traveling all over I mean, this is not his first time going there. But why do we have senators doing this kind of stuff? This is not the purveyance of senators. The Constitution is very clear. The president is the one that is in charge of foreign affairs. Now, you can give advice and consent. You can approve treaties or not approve treaties and other things, but it is not your job to go snooping around and try to undermine the policy of the president of the United States. That's exactly what McCain is doing. He's running around Europe and the Middle East, and he's trying to undermine the very foreign policy that the president is trying to establish. Plain and simple. I do believe we have my good old friend Hickory on the line. 850, you're live on the Rod Eccles Show. What you got, Hickory?
Well, it brings me back to the once a man, twice a child. And you're looking at John McCain, the son of his father right now. He is really juvenile.
That's being nice. I mean, this is definitely more like 3-year-old behavior. And he's an 80-year-old man. He should know better.
But the Senate reinforces that. All these weenies up there wearing their different colored ribbons and stuff like that, they're juvenile. And the media projects it as if, we're leading the nation this way.
I've never worn any of those ribbons or buttons or armbands or wristbands or what have you, because it doesn't mean anything. People don't even know what half of those things mean, and this is what they think is leadership. Oh yeah, we're going to go outside of our purveyance of power, and try to undermine another department or another agency or another government official just so we get our way. And we can do it too because we're heartfelt because we wear the pink ribbon and the flag ribbon and the yellow ribbon and the red ribbon and the blue ribbon and all those other and the purple. What really?
Yeah, Rod, it brings me back to my childhood, like third grade when Troll Dolls came out. And then you had buttons, you could buy a button and wear it. It was a statement, but somebody was just behind it making money, And it was like a pet rock, but it was a button. And, around that time, in like 1962, 63, Halloween costumes, you see button men come around. They'd be wearing a derby, and they'd have buttons all over. That was their Halloween and all of it was making a statement of some sort or another that either struck their fancy or covered a spot. And this is what we've become. Trick or treat.
Well, yeah, it's there definitely is no treat in this. It's all tricks being played on the American people, and it's eroding our government. It's eroding the separation of powers. We've got. It's amazing to me. It
surely is. It surely is.
It's a bunch of people that just because they didn't get their way. I mean, I get it. I really get it. McCain is still upset that he wasn't elected president. I get it. He's still mad about it. But you know what? You're an 80-year-old man now. You're a full-grown man. You're a U.S. senator, for God's sakes. Grow up. Get over it. There are a lot of people, obviously, that have never become president. There are a lot of people that lost. Oh, well. Yeah. It happens.
Yeah, he probably killed more American sailors than he killed North Vietnamese when he was on his bombing runs.
As I dig more and more into his so-called war hero years, I am appalled, and I'm amazed that none of this has ever been brought. I'm surprised that the left hasn't brought it. Well, the left kind of likes McCain being out there doing what he's doing, so I guess they're going to prop him up as long as they can.
Yeah, he's a favorite. He doesn't have his right mind, so he's a favorite over there, and they make sure he gets good coverage because you got to make him look right. Even Lindsay likes him.
Yeah. I don't. Lindsay, I'll have to give Lindsay props. I remember the during the campaign when hey,
Rod, if I was you, I'd call him Graham Cracker.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to go there. Sorry.
Turnabout's fair play in his book. That's right.
Yeah, I can just see. Yeah, I guess if I want to get blown up on a national stage pretty damn quick, I can. If I did that, it would be a negative way to get out there. Let me tell you. Oh no, I'd end up like Milo.
Man. Hey, Rod, please. I know you let me go a long time, but the fact that people will defend him and then they can't let their kids go out and play for any extended period of time outside because somebody might snatch them, it just boggles the mind. What did they lose in America that they so seek to protect now?
Exactly. They're out there. They're. I'm convinced this is why a lot of these so-called senior people in the House and in the Senate stick around for so damn long is because they got to make sure that as long as they're alive, they're able to hide whatever they did in the past.
You may be right about that, but I think the real draw to it is the insider trading that takes place, and the cookies and crumbs you can give to your friends that they can be beholden to you in ways that are not seen. And I think that's it. See, when you have a small town and it gets run for a while, eventually the criminal element will take it over. And Washington is, in all respects, a very small town.
It is. It's always been a small town. It's always been a very cliquey town. And if most of us remember all the different cliques in high school, especially if you were not in one, you knew who was in the clique because you weren't in it. And this is what Washington is.
That's exactly right.
It's a big click.
Structure.
And
Exactly.
I firmly believe, now I'm not being a conspiracy theorist, but I firmly believe a lot of these people are sticking around in power so they can make sure that they continue to hide whatever it is that they want to hide while they're alive. Because after they're dead, I am sure that we're going to hear a lot about McCain after he passes away. I'm sure a lot of this is staying hidden and quiet simply because he's still a U.S. senator.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you kind of wonder, how you're going to have to watch these people through all this time, and Caroline Kennedy and everything, I never thought that I would outlive her brother. And you have to take a look at the political motivations and what has come about and what the Democratic Party is really all about. Protecting the power and keeping it in the hands of the brokers is all that's important. And when he made a movement to run for the Senate of New York, he was shut down in a most horrible way.
Yeah, they can't have enough. Well, he wasn't of his uncle's ilk, Ted. Ted Kennedy, they were out all on those naval vessels and they dumped the ashes into the sea and all. But what did it really do him? Like you said, there was stuff that he had to protect. It was better for someone like him to die in office. I see what you're saying right there. Yeah, it's just it's mind-boggling because as you start listening to and hearing and reading about some of the people that have been in office for a very long period of time that passed, like Robert Byrd, there's some stuff that has come out about Robert Byrd of lately that I am sure that if this stuff actually came out while he was still alive and running for office, he would not have been elected or reelected.
Yeah.
But it was kept quiet.
He probably owns stock in Southern Exposure.
I don't. No, well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're in the making the money any way they can, Rod, and that's what it is. You always need a bank to fix that money up for you, and they're all there lined up.
Hey, maybe they deposit all their money into the Federal Reserve. I don't know. Yes, maybe that's why.
The Clintons, I firmly believe they don't trust the Swiss. China is the best bet to hold the money.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll follow what's good old Mitt Romney's and
when the Forbes family was doing business in China, one of the Chinese guys gave him about $50,000. This is back around before the Civil War. And they kept that on the books for a long time, and his son just reaped the benefit from it. So, there's trust that goes back centuries, and these ideological systems that we have, the same people will rise up in a communist state or in what we was a capitalist state, I guess, when you look at it like that from economic systems. But the same types of people will rise up and seize power. And so they can do business over centuries.
They do. Family business they call it family business for a reason because it stays in the family. Got to run, my friend. Always good to talk to you.
Yeah, la ame, man.
Talk to you again soon. And, folks, we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. We're not done.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $14 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
One of the reasons that the Wall Street Journal is reporting that that McCain went to the Middle East or Syria. He got there, by the way, via going to Saudi Arabia, where he took a short flight to Turkey. And he was there to discuss evolving plans to counter the Islamic State in the Middle East. Now, the main problem here is that what is McCain doing talking about military strategy? The president is the commander-in-chief. I don't care who the president is. The president is the commander-in-chief. The Senate cannot direct military action at all. Now, you can say, well, they can advise the president. No, they don't. That's what his generals are for. That's what his military generals and admirals are for. That is what the Secretary of Defense is for. You cannot fight a war with 100 mini wannabe generals out there. This is how we got bogged down in Vietnam because the Senate at the time, the Congress thought that they could dictate and tell the president how to fight the war. That is not their job. They get in the way and they screw things up. I don't care if McCain was once in the military. He's not in the military any longer. He doesn't have the right to actually get in the way of the job of the president, who is the commander-in-chief. He can't discuss military strategy with other nations. What is it? Oh, yes, I think you should take him from the north. Just go to the north and take him from the north. And we'll help you take him from the north. Just come in. We'll have the jets in there, and I'll make sure the jets. You can't do any of that. You're not the commander-in-chief. You have no control over the military other than controlling the purse strings. That's it. You're getting in the way. And these people haven't learned their lesson about this. There are other factors at play here, and when you get people who are representatives and senators who get in the way of the person or the department or the branch of government that is supposed to be doing that type of work, it's not just McCain. I mean, you've got You got Paul Ryan now taking a trip down to the Texas border, where he's touring the border to get an idea, and he's even on horseback. He's touring the Mexican border. He was on horseback for a short period of time yesterday, and he's visiting to get a better idea, touring the Rio Grande and surrounding areas with Homeland Security officials. And he also went by boat and by helicopter. He's expected to visit the McAllen, Texas Border Control Station later this week. And several other members of Congress are also visiting the border. I don't know why. Trump has already said what needs to be done, build a damn wall. Well, evidently there are some Republican people out there in Texas who have concerns about the wall, because a lot of the wall in Texas and in Arizona would actually have to be built on private property. Well, that's pretty easy to take care of. It's called eminent domain, right?
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand.
we're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
Bring the rain.
Speaker Ryan and a few other congressmen are down on the Texican border. They call it Texican because it's, Texas and Mexico. I'm sure there are people in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda that are going to say, where's the Texican border? There must be Texaco somewhere? Isn't Texaco a gas company? It used to be. But they're down there, riding horseback, getting their wonderful, photo opportunities and that kind of thing. So you have John Cornyn was there and a few others, and basically what they're doing is they're surveying the land and they're surveying the area in order to get a better idea. So when the House and Senate are back in session in a couple of weeks, they can get a better idea of how to best spend our tax money building the wall down there. 'Cause in other words, they're looking for a way to get involved and to tell the president how to do his job. Now, remember, keeping the country safe, keeping the borders intact and such, by the Constitution is the job of the president. And you have these busybodies who now want to, as if they don't have enough other work to do. They want to try to get involved to tell the president how to keep the country safe. They want to be excuse me. A number of them want to be commander in chief. Don't misunderstand that. But they can't be, and they're not. So, but they want to get it. They want to get in the way so they can say, well, you know what? We were down there. We talked to, a couple of people, and they don't like this idea of this design. They want it this way. And I'm telling you this because there's another story by the Wall Street Journal, another Wall Street Journal piece. Border wall faces resistance from Texas Republicans. Now, officials there want a mix of fencing and more personnel along the winding Rio Grande, where most land is privately owned. So they don't want a wall; they want a fence. Fence them in. Fence. Just build a fence. What kind of a fence? What, you just mean a chain link fence with some barbed wire on top of it? Well, hell, you claim, I love this because you've got a bunch of people that claim, well, walls don't keep people out. Well, what, do you think a fence with some barbed wire is going to do the job if a wall won't? I mean, come on. Again, you get all these little itty bitty people out running around talking about complaining that, that they get all these illegals flooding them over the border into their communities, into their cities, and causing havoc and causing the cost of government to rise and crime to rise and all kinds of bad stuff with these illegals. And then when you say, well, let's build the damn wall, then they want to say, no, we don't want that. Just build a fence instead. Well, a fence ain't going to stop anybody. Well, I suppose if you man up, increase the manpower of the Border Patrol, that would help. And indeed, in some areas, the wall is going to be it was planned to be more electronic and psychological than physical. And it would be where you have increased Border Patrol, you have drones and towers that keep watch over the border, versus actually building a physical, 40 or 50 foot wall. I've said, just the wall doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be functional. It doesn't have to. But I know Donald Trump's in charge, so he wants to make it a beautiful wall. But it doesn't have to be pretty. I have mentioned numerous times on this program and on other programs how we could quickly and inexpensively build a physical barrier. And this is a physical barrier that actually is used in parts of the Middle East. And we're very familiar with these types of barriers. We use them whenever there's, especially when there's bridge construction going on, they use these plates. I can't remember what they're called. They have a particular name. But you have this big crane that comes along and has this pile driver on the end of the crane, and it literally pounds these things into the ground. It vibrates them into the ground. And in order to take them out and replace them, or just take them out and remove them, they use a reverse machine that they put at the end of the crane that actually vibrates these things up out of the ground. It's amazing to see. And it goes pretty quick. And they can make these things watertight because they use them around bridge abutments when they're trying to build a new bridge over water. They use it, to keep the water out and keep it dry in the construction area, and they use it to hold back earth. And these things, I've seen them in as long as length as 100 feet. So literally, you could pound these things 50 feet into the ground, and they would stick up 50 feet above the ground. That's an impressive barrier for both below and above the ground. That means they got to dig pretty damn deep in order to tunnel underneath. Now, it's not going to stop them from tunneling underneath, but 50 feet is a good amount of footage to cover underground. Now, they don't look pretty. They're not pretty. And they're rather ugly. They are. But they work. That's the hope. And they're thick. They're not easy to cut through without a blowtorch. So, I mean, if you have enough people, patrolling the wall, you'll see somebody with a blowtorch trying to cut through the damn thing. And you could put, sticking up 50 feet in the air, and you could put barbed wire on top of it so they can't go over the top. It's not easy to get beyond these types of barriers. And it's not all that expensive. And it can easily be produced with American steel. And it can be easily transported. And if the section, if one of the panels wears out, rusts out, gets a hole in it, or, they blow a hole in it, what have you, it can easily be replaced. It's not, this thing doesn't have to be pretty, but I know Donald wants it to at least look halfway decent for people. But this is what the Wall Street Journal is reporting. The President Donald Trump's vision of a sea-to-sea wall on the U.S.-Mexican border is running into an unexpected obstacle. And that is wrong. He never said it would be a sea-to-sea physical wall. We would not build it brick by brick from the Gulf Coast to the Pacific Coast. That is not what he said. He did say we'd build a magnificent wall, a beautiful wall, a wall that keeps people out. And that wall has already been in the works. It was back in 2006 that they approved some of the first spending that they never even utilized on the wall, both physical and electronic. And the electronic also includes human, meaning more Border Patrol agents and more Border Patrol patrols across certain parts of sensitive areas. Sensitive environmental areas, because the environmentalists are going to try to wrap this up in court. And again, another thing that does not fall under the jurisdiction of the federal courts is border security. That's by the Constitution, the purveyance of the president. He's the one responsible for that, not a judge sitting on a bench somewhere. And I guarantee you're not going to get a judge down in Texas or Arizona that's going to rule against any part of this wall. They're going to find a judge somewhere like in Central California or in Washington State or even in New York. You're going to get some federal district judge that is going to rule against against the people on the southern border. They're going to judge shop. Like they often do. And that's and look, that's what these congressmen are doing down there. They're gearing up for the so-called fight that shouldn't even be. Why is this even a question? I mean, I get why the left doesn't want a border wall, but I don't get why anybody in the right is going to question this or challenge this or want to put in their 2 cents. I don't understand it at all. It's not logical. It's not logical at all for them to even do this sort of thing. I mean, you can expect the left to do it, and I know that we're also, well, the House and Senate is in hiatus, and so they're giving their town halls, and I'm sure they're probably going to get an earful. Senators and congressmen who represent districts that border the Mexican border are also going to get their earful of these leftist activists who go to the town halls. And actually, I got a story here in the paper pile. Let me see. Here it is. Let me see if I can pull this up really quick. I still use paper, by the way, folks. I do both, paper and digital. Los Angeles Times has a story. Loud and angry protesters turn congressional town halls into must-see political TV. Yes, the loud and angry protesters are going to town halls in the big cities and in the rural hamlets to heckle, to plead, to badger, and in some cases to threaten. Well, they didn't use threaten; they used protest. And they're some of them are even there to protest the protest themselves. Now, Congress obviously is in recess this week, and a citizenry suddenly spurred into action used the opportunity to let their returning lawmakers know just how they feel about the tempestuous last month in Washington. So instead of trying to have a reasonable dialogue to get their so-called fears and concerns addressed, no. They're not into having a reasonable dialogue. No, because they're too angry to have a reasonable dialogue. So instead, they want to shout, they want to scream, they want to demand. Mitch McConnell says this really ticks them off on the left. Because you didn't really win, Mitch. You didn't win. You stole it. Mitch McConnell said, winners make policy and losers go home. Republican Senate leader told an invitation-only gathering in his home state of Kentucky as about 1,000 protesters gathered outside. He was basically saying, hey, I'm Mitch McConnell. And winners make policy and losers go home because that's what you told us the past 8 years because President Obama won and he got to make policy. And so you Republican Tea Party people, you go home. You racist Tea Partiers, you don't have a say. You go home. Well, you know what? Why don't you do what the Tea Party did and actually start having a conversation and start talking to people? Instead of, you can be passionate about your conversation, but you don't want to have a two-way dialogue. All you want to do is scream and scream and scream and threaten and scream and threaten and riot and all that. Nobody's listening to you when you do that. You don't get your point across. And even if you do get your point across by some rare opportunity, nobody's going to listen to you. So instead of trying to have an open dialogue with the people that represent their particular district, no, all they want to do is scream and scream and scream and scream. And you think that they're going to be able to understand what you're passionate about? No, all they're going to see is a bunch of 3-year-olds holding up signs. Do your job, Mitch. Investigate the Russian ties. Hey, Turtlehead, you work for us. Well, hey, lesbian in the flannel shirt holding up that sign, he also works for us. Well, no, actually, Mitch McConnell doesn't work for all of us. He works for the people. He's a senator, so he works for the people of his state. That's it. It's the other problem we have with nationalizing some of these people. They don't work for all of us. Your senator works for the people of their various states. Congressmen work for the people in their various districts. They don't work for all. The only person in Washington that works for all of us is the president. That's it. Mitch McConnell doesn't work for everybody, and Paul Ryan doesn't work for everybody. They work for the people of their state or their district. Plain and simple. Civics. We need civics.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Enjoy Margarita Day? Yeah, yesterday was Margarita Day, National Margarita Day. Again, I don't know why they chose to put it in the middle of the week, but hey, they can Did anybody have a margarita yesterday? I did not. I did not have a margarita yesterday. So I guess I'm not I'm not following along the way I'm supposed to. But I guess I can't hate on margaritas either. This is something that is new. This is from the Financial Times. Google launches a robo tool to flag hate speech online. Now, folks, I can't tell you how much is wrong with that headline. There is so much wrong with that headline. So Google launches a robo tool to flag hate speech online. The New York Times and other news media are testing artificial intelligence software that spots abusive comments. You can't be a bully. You can't be a bully in comments. You can be, hey, I can't believe you're a bully in comments, and you hurt my feelings when you're a bully. So Google has launched an artificial intelligence tool that identifies abusive comments online, helping publishers respond to growing pressure to clamp down on hate speech. What exactly is hate speech? I'm going to kill you. Okay, that's probably not love speech. But I think you're an idiot and you're wrong. Well, that's going to be classified as hate speech by some people. Google's freely available software known as Perspective is being tested by a range of news organizations, including the New York Times, The Guardian, The Economist, as a way to help simplify the job of humans reviewing comments on their stories. How is it going to come across as being, how do you build an algorithm that tells you not if something is hate speech? Well, it's going to flag it, I'm sure. And then the person, the human being is going to have to go in and say, well,
let's see now. Let's see if this is really hateful. Let's see, the commentators, liberal views, liberal leaning, liberal talking points, liberal. Okay, he's okay. Oh, Republican, conservative. Oh, he said Constitution. Nope, that's hate speech.
No, folks, understand. And this is something else that a lot of people sometimes get angry with me about when I repeat this, but you have to understand, you have freedom of speech, but freedom of speech, the First Amendment is not geared to allow private entities, to keep private entities from clamping down on your right to speak out. It's meant that the government can't do it. But hey, if the New York Times doesn't want to print whatever you say, they have every right to do that. I know you're going to claim, well, I got free speech. Well, not at the New York Times, you don't. You can stand outside the New York Times, on the street corner there and scream at them, and that's fine. But you can't do it, if they don't want you to do it inside then with the New York Times or on any of their publications, and you can't do it. You don't have the right to do that. This is the problem with some people. I have a right to say it. Well, yeah, but, it's a private entity, so you don't have a right to do it there. But to use this terminology of hate speech, man, in determining that's just a dangerous sign, man. You don't even want to get anywhere near, because now you're start talking about government getting involved and labeling and some governments across the globe do that, and you don't want to get involved in that. You don't want that happening here, because if you're a leftist and you think you can get away with it, you're going to get ensnared by it too. And some leftists in other countries are highly surprised when they get charged with hate speech or violating their country's hate speech laws. It's definitely not something you want to do, my friend. Definitely not. You want to stay away from that kind of thing. But anyway. Well, there you go. There's that sound again. That sound always indicates that we are out of time for the busy broadcast day. But, of course, we will be back in about 21 hours. Tomorrow is Freedom Friday. Just about anything goes. Friday already. Unbelievable. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your liberal friends, tell your liberal-hated enemies, anybody, everybody, to have them listen in, especially if you want them to get pissed off, because they will. Until then, have a wonderful Thursday afternoon. See you tomorrow morning. I'm Rod Eccles. Thanks for listening. This has been The Rod Eccles Show. I'm out.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right. Got a crew for the fight on the airwaves. Lapdogs in the press keep their mouths tight. Cause a Clinton never needs to explain what, why it is what they done or with who. A real Clinton knows that they're entitled, and you don't get to know what they do.
What difference does it make?
For a Clinton, what's loaded in some fat Oppo file? A Clinton plays the victim for promotion. A Clinton kills it off with a smile. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A server full of secrets ain't no thing. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Nothing ever hits with the sting.